Welcome, everybody. It is July 20th. We're going to be talking about our guilt workshops. So welcome. Let's just drop in for a quick meditation, and then we'll do many more as we get going. So go ahead and close your eyes. Allow the eyelids to shut and breathe. Feel your belly rise. Hear your belly fall. Bring all of your energy, your presence. You're now here. Just breathe. Take a long breath in. And take a slow breath out. Take a deep breath in. And soften the shoulders down as you exhale. Just breathe. Seeing if you can bring all of your presence here. Even if there's noise in the background. Maybe you're thinking about what comes next. See if you can bring all of you and your presence here. The phones are going to ding. The doorbell might ring. The kids might cry. Despite all that stuff, see if you can bring some awareness into this place right now. Just breathe. Before we open our eyes, I want you all to take a moment and thank yourself. It's a big deal to show up to, work on yourself. It's a bigger deal to show up live, and it's even a bigger deal to show up on a Saturday morning. So take a few breaths. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Don't worry, we'll be doing lots of meditation. So if you're addicted to meditating like I am, we'll be going back there. Don't worry. So welcome, guys. A couple of rules of the workshop today. I'll be opening up for Q&A periodically through the event. If you've got something burning, and there will be times during the class time we're together that I'll say, what do you think of XYZ? Please use the chat box. Or if you want to mute yourself, feel free to. I've got everybody muted on purpose, just so there's not any background noise, but there will be periodic Q&As through it. And at the end, or maybe even during it, I'll be doing intuitive readings if anyone's got something that they're kind of stuck on. As I mentioned, as you guys were coming into the workshop, about 15 minutes ago, we emailed you a guilt workbook. You don't have to have it in front of you. So if you don't have it, don't freak out. It's not going to be the end of the world. But when I teach these online events, I really find they help people at home to follow along with what I'm teaching. You'll notice that the first 4 pages are flooded with material, then it gets quieter after that on purpose, because a lot of the stuff is more teaching. So I've got a few words there like, what is she talking about? That's me teaching. A couple other things about the event. Only my video is recorded. You guys aren't. So that's for anonymity. I always say in every workshop I teach, there's something called the law of one. So when I'm working, say, with Karen, and let's just say Karen puts her hand up and has a question, if you keep your ears open, you will hear yourself in that question. So it's law of one, means everything I've got, Krista's got, Nick's got, Karen's got, Presley's got, because that helps you to move through your stuff with greater ease. The other thing I always say is, if I went and bought a coffee right now, I would pull up my wallet. In self-development, the currency is actually vulnerability. So the more vulnerable you can be with what you actually think, the easier it gets. And that is actually why I record it this way, so you don't feel like, oh God, somebody else might watch this. All they will is they will hear you, because if you want to share a question through speaking, but because that's why your videos are off. The last thing is, because we're all being vulnerable, I want to show a hand that everything that comes here stays here. Cool? We're good with that? So everything that you hear here stays here. If you're dying to share what Jill says, you can share it, but do not use her name. Is that cool? Because especially those of us who live in Vancouver, as much as it's a big city, it's a small community. So that's just from the bottom of my heart. Anonymity is a big part of this work. So I promise to not share your info with anyone, and vice versa. Cool. Awesome. Let's begin. So first off, again, acknowledge yourself for being here. Most of us have a hard time because guilt runs the show. That's what we're talking about today for the next hour and a half to 2 hours is guilt. Guilt is, and I should tell you before I keep going, how I work as a professional intuitive. My background is I'm a physician. I got into this work kind of by accident about 20 years ago when I was pregnant. My intuition went off the charts. A lot of you don't know me because I know when I looked at the names, I'm like, okay, I don't know about half or a quarter of you, which is amazing. Thank you for trusting. So I want to explain what I do, my background really briefly. So I went from being a family doctor to teaching yoga and running yoga studios to intuitive work, kind of by accident. I had never really planned to do this. My plan when I was a child was to grow up, marry an Indian boy and settle in Toronto, make babies. That was my plan when I was a kid, and be a doctor. So that was my plan. And then you know how the universe takes over and things change. So when I work I got into intuitive work predominantly because when I was in medicine, I always used to get frustrated. Like, why is this happening? Why isn't this person getting better? The drug sheet says this person should get better, but they're not. And I want you to know I graduated 31 years ago. So it's been a long time. So it was pre-internet, pre-naturopaths, pre the knowledge that we have on the internet now. Okay. So I got very frustrated, got quite sick myself in my late 20s, ended up in yoga, ended up getting better with yoga, which was all kinds of weird things from like chronic pain to allergies to all kinds of things. And then that yoga world got me into this world. What does an intuitive do? Let me explain that next. We are all intuitive. Every single one of us are intuitive. No one's special. Okay. What an intuitive does is we see, sense, feel energy. And I always tell people, don't forget, I'm a physician. I got into this work and it sounds weird, but it really isn't because we all do it. How I describe it, if I'm working with you individually, if this is you, and then this is, you can call it your higher self, your soul, the universe, your angels, whatever you want to call it. This part of us talks to us all day. It comes with a gut feeling or an inner knowing, but most of the times we're not listening. We're in our heads. We're paying bills, we're raising kids, we're, living, our parents' brain is in our head. So when I work, I pull messages from this non-physical place and I give it to clients in the way of a question or a comment or a statement. That's how I work. And so you'll see that when I work individually, but you'll also see it in the collective. So this collective energy has a non-physical that's running it. And that's the energy that's going to run the workshop. So when I say they are asking me to do this, they're asking me to do that, that's what I'm talking about. And that's who wrote this workshop last night. Okay. It's actually been being written in my workbook for a few weeks, but I typed it last night. So they will lead the whole thing. So that's who, if I say they, that's what I'm talking about. And as I work, especially individually, you'll see at times I close my eyes. It's not because I don't think you're beautiful. It's not because I'm ignoring you. It helps me to see the pictures. That's all it is. Okay, let's jump in. Guilt. If you have the workbook, I'm going to read parts of the workbook and keep coming back to you. Guilt is something that we do to ourselves. It's a voice in our head that says, you're doing it wrong. You're bad. You deserve punishment. And it just is like a never-ending cycle that never stops. So many people ruminate with guilt. Rumination means it doesn't ever end. We might feel guilty about this. They might feel guilty about that. And the topic doesn't matter. I could feel guilty about my kid. Then 3 seconds later, I'm guilty about work. Then 5 seconds later, I'm guilty about my body weight. It just doesn't stop. And it's a way to keep us in the idea that we made a mistake. We have to improve. And of us, especially if it's people that are older than 20, we know that it never stops. You stop feeling guilty about one thing and it jumps into something else. It's like this never ending jumping game. The definition from the internet is, the formal definition is, guilt is a feeling of deserving blame, especially for imagined offenses or for a sense of inadequacy. And that's why we're all here, right? That's why we're all here, because if you saw my post, we're here to heal this guilt. And so I'm going to approach guilt. Guilt can be approached in lots of different ways, psychology ways, emotional ways. I'm going to approach it mostly metaphysically and spiritually. And if you just bear with me, there's a ton of content here. And if you bear with me, you will pick up, I'll teach a ton of different processes with guilt, and some of them will land and some of them won't. Don't worry about the ones that don't. You will always have this recording. If you go back to in 5 years, it'll still be there. The other ones might resonate. So don't make yourself wrong if like, I don't get that one, but I get that one. Cool. I should also tell you, so again, my background is medicine, yoga, intuition. I'm also a student of what's called A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles is a big text that was written in the 70s. Won't go into its origin, but basically all self-development work of the modern age is based on it. So Wayne Dyer's work, Eckhart Tolle's work, Louise Hay's work, all of it is based on ACIM. So if I say A Course in Miracles teaches blah, 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 or this is what I've studied, blah, 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 is typically coming from that text, just so you know, okay? So what you want to know about guilt is I'll be talking about the ego in a few minutes here, but in order to heal guilt, it takes a deep willingness. So this first few minutes in the workshop, we're going to really identify how willing you are. Because guilt, as most of us know, it runs us. And we've tried all kinds of things like, I'm not going to think that way. You don't have to be that way. And we get angry at ourselves, right? But as we all know, that doesn't work or else you wouldn't be here. Okay. So this approach to guilt, healing guilt, and guys, I need you to know that I've tried everything when it comes to guilt because I'm Indian. We love guilt. My first husband is Jewish. We love guilt. Do you get it? So, and I married a non-Indian. Guilt, 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 guilt. I have one son. I didn't have more kids. Guilt, 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 guilt. Right? I don't live near my parents. They're old and sick. Guilt, guilt. Do you guys see how it works? I have every reason to live in guilt. But I've really worked on this topic for a long time. But what I have to tell you is it takes a deep willingness. Like you want to climb Mount Everest if you want to heal guilt. Okay, that's how much willingness it takes. But there is a voice inside of you that does not hold the guilt. And that's what I want to access today. And I want to teach you tools and techniques to access that voice. Got it? But if you're kind of willing, kind of not willing, it ain't going to work. All right? It takes 100%. I'm going to do this. And some days they'll be easier. And some moments will be easier. And some moments will be harder. But I promise you from the bottom of my being that if you actually follow the process that I teach you and keep studying it, it will work. Okay? But it takes that willingness. Okay? So in this first part, we're going to determine how willing you are. But it started like, let's just say you weighed 300 pounds and you saw your doctor, and I just make you up that number, just, you saw your doctor and they said, oh my God, Debbie, you have heart disease. Oh my God, you have heart disease. And you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like I have, my dad died. I'm going to die. My dad died, like, a few years older than I got to do something. And he goes, okay, you're overweight. You drink too much. You smoke too much. You got to lose weight. You're like, that's it. I want to be here for my grandkids. And you do. You make it to the gym every day. You stop drinking. You stop smoking. You eat better. It takes that degree of willingness. Okay. And you're going to see why as I get going here. But it takes that willingness to decide to heal guilt. And that voice of mine will be in your head every time you feel guilty, because it's not hard. In fact, when I get to the deeper process, you're like, oh, that's easy. I just have to keep repeating this. And the answer is yes. Okay. The actual processes aren't hard at all, but what it takes is the willingness. So let's get going here. First, we want to figure out what your guilty thoughts are. So I want you to grab a pen and paper. And if you're on page 2 of my hand, if you want to label the pages, because I'll be referencing them, I'm on page 2 now. So what I want you to do next is write down all the guilty thoughts you've had in the last 2 to 4 weeks. And I'm not going to give you forever, because I could just sit here for the full hour and you guys could write. So I just grab a pen and paper and write down for the last 2 to 4 weeks the guilty thoughts you've had. And I'll give you the common topics that we have guilt on: work, relationships, parenting, our parents, children, food, exercise, work, your body, sex, your thoughts. Just start scribbling. Write down, I'll give you guys a few minutes, write down as many guilty thoughts as you can think on the piece of paper that you've had in the last couple of weeks. Let's be honest. You wouldn't have signed up for this workshop if you're trying to pretend like you don't have it. Just mind dump onto the piece of paper. because we're going to use these later, which is why I'm asking you to do this. And if you can't write them down, just, put them into your phone or think of 2 or 3, because we'll be using these in another exercise. Keep breathing. You might find as you're writing, they keep circling. You keep writing the same thing. That's cool. Write it again. And maybe if you want, you could put stars next to the ones that just keep circulating. I'll give you guys 1 more minute. All right, start to wind down and take a breath. Don't worry, you can return to that exercise all day if you want. So we'll just leave that one for Nick, but we'll come back to it, just so you know. And my next question, if you're on page 2, you're going to see it. Just a percentage, and I want you to write this into the chat box. On a percentage of a percent of 100, how much does guilt run your mind? Type it in the chat box, write it on your piece of paper. How much does it run your mind? 10%, 80%? How much do you find it circulates? How much, 100 is like your full day of waking hours of, say, 15 to 16 hours. How much does guilt run it? What do you guys think? 10%, 30, what do you guys got? 30-ish, 70-ish, 70, 70. So got all kinds of numbers from 30, 70, 40, 100, 50, 60. Cool. So all over the place, which is awesome. 30, right, Gabby? 70, 50. Awesome. I want you to be open that it could drop to 0. Okay. I didn't realize guilt ran my life at all until I met you. But now it's like 60. Okay, amazing. Okay, next question. And the next one, you don't have to type it in the chat box, just for yourself. How much do you ruminate on guilt? Which means you just cycle, right? And you saw it when you were writing. If you kept cycling, it's quite normal. Now, my next question for you, and maybe put it in the chat box. When you think about your parents, how much did your parents hold on to guilt? Even today, if they're still alive. How much did your parents? 100%. Yeah, it's LOL. Yeah, 100%. Totally. Yeah, some of our parents really held on to it, especially, like, I think every parent, but how much did your parents? 80, 80, so pretty high. My next question, just for yourself. How much did your parents project guilt onto you? What I mean by that is, my parents were immigrants, so my mom would always say things like, it's because of you that I'm here and not in India. Like, that's projecting her stuff onto me. Right? It's because of you that I don't have a social life. It's because of you, right? So just for yourself, did your parents do that to you? Right? Just be aware of it. I see some heads nodding. Now here's my question. I want you to write yes or no into the chat box. Did guilt serve your parents, whether they're alive or dead? When you look at them, now you're an adult. That did or does guilt serve your parents? Yes or no? What do you guys think? Good. We got a no. Phew, thank God, some no's. Awesome. No's. Okay, cool. Nope. Okay, cool. Now here's my last question before we're not, a couple more questions. Scan your body. Where in your body do you hold your guilty thoughts? Scan it and type it in the chat box. Where in your body do you hold your guilty thoughts? Neck is very common. Stomach is very common. Those are the 2 most common places. Neck, stomach, back. Yeah. Chest. Good. Yeah. Those are the common places. Good. Really good. You guys are on it. Shoulders. Yep. Very common. Solar plexus. Good. Scalp. Yeah. All very common areas. Now, my last question. out of 100, how willing, in capital letters, are you to shift this out of 100? Yeah, I'm 10% willing, 20, 100. How willing are you? I got some 100s. Thank you. Okay, 101. Amazing. You want to be 100 in order for it to work, guys. You have to be 100 to say, okay, I'm done with this way of thinking. Got it? So now let's dive in and start teaching. That was preamble. Let's start. Remember, I teach from the metaphysical angle. Most of you know that, or else you wouldn't be here. Because traditional, again, I'm not a psychologist, I'm a physician. Traditional counseling, traditional therapy, and please, if there's any counselors or therapists, this is not a knock. Don't hear it that way. For traditional ways of thinking, just say, well, guilt is normal. Okay. In the metaphysical realm, it's not. In the metaphysical realm, there's two ways of being. So we have two parts of us. There's, and I always use my hand, so you can, and I wear a ring on purpose, not just because I'm married. This hand will represent the ego, and this will represent spirit. So you were born of unconditional love. I want to define these words for you. When you're a baby, you're born of infinite love, infinite spirit, infinite divine. I use a lot of words interchangeably here. Your God self, the divine, universe, love. This part of you holds no guilt. How many babies feel guilty for waking their mom up at 3 a.m? Nada. How many babies feel guilty for pooping when you're out of function? Nada. So you are born guiltless, and believe it or don't, you die guiltless. Your soul doesn't hold on to it. So this is the spirit which you always have. Then we have what's called the separated self. So when you come into the human body, this is who you are to your core, is spirit, the divine. And then we have the ego, which is the separated self. The ego is the only part that holds guilt. The ego is what we're going to work on all day today. And it's not a bad part of you. And we're going to understand the origins of the ego, why it holds on to guilt in a minute here. So every topic, I don't care what topic you give me, I got to tell you this, I've been doing this work professionally for 20 years. There's not one topic you could give me that spirit does not hold guilt on. Only the ego does, the separated self. And we'll talk about why and everything else in a few minutes here. But if you've got the piece of paper, you'll see on page 3, I've drawn a chart that's going to take me a few minutes to explain, that explains the difference between the ego and spirit in sort of general terms. The ego thinks you're this body. Spirit knows you're not this body. So take a second for a sec. Close your eyes. Meditate for a sec. Just get into meditation. I know I'm pushing you guys a bit. And I want you to imagine you're a cartoon and you can see your thoughts above your head, like that little cloud in a cartoon. Just see that for a second. And I want you to step out of yourself and put your consciousness on planet Mars. And I want you to look down at yourself. Can you see your body? Can you see your thoughts? Can you see your little speck on planet Earth living in Vancouver or wherever you live? Take a few breaths. Breathe. Gently open your eyes. Could everyone do that? Were y'all able to do that? You could see yourself. Everyone could do that, right? Y'all could do that, yes? That tells you you're not this. Got it? And it's the most important concept in spirit and self-development you'll ever get, is you're not your thoughts. Your consciousness is out here. This, and we'll get into this in a minute here. I know I'm pushing you guys a little bit, but this isn't real. Who you are is true consciousness. Who you are is infinite love. So the ego loves the body. Spirit lives in essence. The ego loves past and future. Remember, the ego is the party that holds guilt. The ego loves past and future. When you were 13 years old, you hit your mom. You're a bad person. That's the ego. You're going to grow old and not have any money in the bank account. That's all the ego. Past, future, past, future, past, future, past, future. Spirit only sits in the now. The present now, what's called the holy instant. We'll come back to that concept. In this moment right now, in this second right now. Spirit holds no guilt. And it's about training the mind into that part of you. And we'll get into lots of different processes. The ego holds on to guilt. Spirit holds on to love, freedom, peace, and joy. This is going to sound really weird to you guys. And it was weird when I first studied it. Course in Miracles teaches us that the ego's job is to kill us. It's like, what? If you study the work I do, the ego, if you come to me and you're like, Divvy, my back hurts. Divvy, I have cancer. Divvy, I've got chronic pain. Divvy, I have this. I can 1000% tell you, I can pull the thread, which means I can help you to identify what thought process is in the ego that's making you sick. So the ego's job is to kill you. The ego is bound in time. Spirit knows you never die. Spirit knows you live eternally. Spirit does not hold time, does not hold space. The ego sees me and Nick as separate. Now, Nick is a male. I chose him on purpose. Well, they chose him on purpose. But Spirit sees us as one. The ego sees my body and Nick's body as separate. Spirit sees me as infinite potential and Nick as infinite potential. And if I see Nick in infinite potential, even though he's a guy and I'm a girl, I have a masculine, he has a feminine. I chose him on purpose. Do you guys see how it works? Each of you women have a feminine and a masculine. Each man has a masculine and feminine. It's why in a lot of my workshops, I have a lot of men who come because I've got a lot of masculine energy, which is not very common in self-development. You get a ton of girls that go. My workshops, I have a pretty good balance because the masculine and feminine is in me and I can see it in y'all. Got it? So when you train your mind not to see anyone as separate than you, you're in the spirit. The ego loves sacrifice. And the ego's like, oh my God, you have to do this to be important. Spirit knows your infinite potential, and Spirit sees everybody as infinite potential. And the $1 million question I have for you is, what do you choose moment to moment? And that's what you have. Like I took you to an ice cream store today and I said, do you want chocolate or vanilla ice cream? At each moment, you can choose spirit or ego. Got it? You've just chosen the ego 1 million times so that you're just used to it. The spirit's just sitting there going, yeah, okay, they can choose me when I want. But the thing about spirit is they will never, like if this is the ego and ego's like, ah, spirit won't go, stop. It just doesn't. It just waits until you drop it and go to them. And we'll talk about that in a little while as we get going into more processes. But this is more for your intellectual understanding that the ego is not a bad thing, but it is doing everything to convince you that you're wrong and you're bad, because that's its job. Now let's talk about a minute for the origin of the ego, because I can hear some of you guys. The origin of the ego, and again, this is very metaphysical, and I've studied this like a gazillion years ago, and it took me a long time to really understand it and believe it. But think about it for a minute. You're a soul, and it takes this degree of like belief to grab this concept. You're a soul and you come into the human body. And before you come into the human body, you're in this place of infinite love. You're floating around going, all is amazing. You're deeply connected to God. And it's not like in the human body, you're not, but you think you are. You come to this body, you open your eyes. I know this sounds weird, but that's the formation of the ego. This is going to sound weird. The thought that you killed God and did something wrong, that's the formation of the ego, according to A Course in Miracles. That somehow you've done something wrong, you're bad, you need to be punished, and you've left God. That's the origin of the ego. And it's crazy, mad idea that you've done something wrong. That's the origin. So obviously that ain't true. People who come to this type of workshop believe they are love, they are the divine incarnation of source, they matter, they count. That is the truth. You are unconditional love. That is the truth. If you've ever had a child or not, or have a pet or an animal, and you look at them, you're like, oh my God, you're amazing. The love you have for your children and your belief in them, God has for you times 1 billion. Now, I use the word God a lot because it's a term from A Course in Miracles. It offends you, your Catholic upbringing, your Christian upbringing, screws your brain up. Please keep in mind, God is just unconditional love. So if you prefer the word spirit, universe, unconditional love, change it in your head. I was going to teach a bit more, but they're saying time out perspective and just check in. Are there questions, comments, anything coming up for you guys? And I'll dive back into teaching. Are you guys okay? Questions, comments, we're good? My guides are saying pause for a sec. We're good, Nick? Okay, good. We're good, Prisley? We're good? Okay, good.
I had a question.
Go for it.
Is it kind of healthy to have guilt sometimes? Because I think I put a comment in the chat there, just my brain is thinking it's kind of good to check in with yourself. I mean, if I had a friend that didn't feel any guilt, I don't know if I would want that friend around.
Got it. And we'll get there, Sarah. It's a great question because it was Sarah, right?
Andrea.
Andrea,
Andrea.
sorry. I just
Sorry.
saw Sarah's hand up, so I just assumed it
No
was her. Yes, in the future, if you could put your hand up, that would really help me. Because I
Oh,
don't,
sorry, I'm trying to figure out where to do it. Sorry, Debbie.
don't worry about it. See, don't go, Andrea. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Ha ha.
I didn't instruct you guys. It's totally cool. Okay. So Andrea, as we get to the more into the workshop, when I talk about who you truly are and who you're not, when you get there, when I get there, that question will get answered. Cool. Yeah, Sarah.
So when you were just explaining about A Course in Miracles, the idea that it's once you leave the spirit realm and enter the body, we're seized with this belief that somehow we've abandoned God, killed God, we're not deserving, that kind of thing. It just triggered this thought, and I don't know if it's connected really to anything valid, but ever since I was little, I wasn't raised going to church or anything. My father was kind of anti-religious, and but I was always fascinated by it, and would want to go to different houses of worship. I had a Jewish friend. I went to synagogue with her. A Catholic friend. I'd go to the Catholic church. Just various different things. I was always fascinated by it, but I always felt like I shouldn't go in there. Like I didn't deserve to be in there somehow.
Interesting.
Got it. It was just this overpowering feeling that I'm not allowed in there.
And not just because you aren't necessarily that faith.
Right. It had nothing to do with the faith because I didn't have any particular.
Right. But that right there is the ego.
And I mean, I can remember that like as a little kid.
Interesting. Yes, that's
the origin. I don't have a clue where that comes from.
That's the origin. Got it. And they say that it goes back many, many, many generations. Got it. And that's where it comes from. So like many, many, like, millions of years, right? So, but that is the origin. You're right. That's exactly it, Sarah.
Wow.
Karen, and Andrea, if you can't find the thing, just type into chat box that you have a question, but on the computer, it's under reactions, that little smiley face. So if you can't find it, just put it into your chat box. Hey, Karen.
I was going to say, what about the feeling of like carrying other people's guilt as well? Like, for example, the guilt of other people suffering.
Right.
It might not like directly affect you, but it's still like you're holding on to it in your body.
Totally. Gotcha.
You also talk about that as well. And
for sure. I'll address it a little bit right now. It's because it's a great question. I spent gazillion years as a physician. So I want to just give you kind of like my own progression. When I was a physician, that's exactly what I did. I would feel bad for this person's back pain, feel bad, right? That thing we call empathy, which is beautiful. When you study a bit more of A Course in Miracles, and I get into this concept of seeing yourself as a higher self. When I see myself as a higher self, Karen, would you rather, if you were my client, my friend, my son, my daughter, would you rather I see you as this poor little victim or as possible? What would you rather have, Karen?
Definitely possible.
Exactly. So it's a training of the mind. Now, I have to tell you, now as a coach, as I worked for 15 years as a coach and now I teach, my job is and was to hold that person in their infinite possibility and not see their pain. If I see their pain, I'm useless. And it's the same with my kid. So yesterday he had I won't go into the long story, but he lost his Invisalign, had to get another, and his dentist gave him shit. Okay. He's 19. He can go himself. I've shit. He called me. I'm like, you lost your Invisalign, right? I love you, dude. You're 19, right? But where am I more beneficial to him? To get it? To see him as crap or to see him as dude? Just a learning lesson. And I'll get into the concept of mistake in a little while here. But if I see you, Karen, as infinite possible, but society, especially news, teaches us this person is a victim. In my workshops, I teach something called a victim triangle, which I don't think I'll teach today. Oh no, they're saying just mention it. The victim triangle is this: victim, bully, hero. So again, this is a lot of content. So I apologize, guys, if I spit you out. We're going really deep today. I didn't know I'd go here. And that's how most of our society is structured. This person's not capable. This person hurt them. This is the hero. If you, and in my in-person workshops, I teach that if you do that, let me say it this way. If you don't want to be in the victim triangle, because I mean, the hero feels great, but as soon as you're a hero, there's somebody a victim, correct? And the thing about the victim triangle, I can be a victim 1 second, then I can be the hero, then I can be the bully. The classic example I use, Karen, so if I get on the scale and I've gained 10 pounds, I'm a victim. Then I bully myself for eating ice cream, and then I'm a hero because I go to the gym. And that happened in 1 minute. See how it happened? If I
Yeah.
don't want to live in the victim triangle, the only way out is to not see anyone as a victim. And that's training the mind to see everybody through the divine I am with infinite possibility. Does that make sense up here to your brain?
Yeah, I feel like just like news and society, like it scares you. It's like
To
you see the
stop.
people like dying all around you and you feel like the guilt that like what if you were in their shoes? Like how the suffering. Like I think that really consumes me, and it's like do I just like not watch the news because like I'm just hurting myself. Like I am hurting myself, but like yeah.
It's also how we think. And guys, like I'm going to say it again, deep topic that we're going to do as much as I can in the next 2 hours. But what it's training your mind. This is the toughest part, to see that person not as dead. I shared this at the workshop I taught in Big White a few weeks ago. I remember when the Gaza war started and I was watching these kids die, and I was crying my eyes out, sitting on the couch. And my guides came and they said, Divi, close your eyes for a minute. I said, okay, close my eyes. I want you to, so they teach in A Course in Miracles that these eyes lie. The third eye shows you differently. Open your third eye, they said to me, and see what you see. See those children leaving that body and entering another body. See that right now. Oh, wow. Death does not exist in this world of spirit. Got it? And I always say to people, I don't hide. I don't not watch the news. I'm married to a newsaholic. I'm not addicted to it by any stretch. But in order to do what I do for work, I have to know what's going on in the world, because people come to me and they're, right? But you can live in this world through the eyes of spirit and not see the suffering, but it takes mental training. Does that make sense? Great question, Karen. Shabs, I think that's your name. Shabs.
So I have a question. What's the difference between guilt and shame?
Great
And how do we
question.
distinguish the two?
Yeah, they are there. And so guilt is, oh, I did something wrong. Shame is, I am wrong. Get it?
Okay.
Shame
Got
is,
it.
I'm a girl. I am wrong because I have a vagina. I don't have a penis. That shame is like internally directed. Guilt is, I didn't do this for. Does that make sense?
Okay. Got it. Got
Great
it.
question. Great question. Thanks, Shabs. Praveen.
Hi, just a quick question around the guilt of separating from God, you had mentioned. And so, I mean, I've come across people who often feel like they can't connect and God has left them,
Right.
you know? And so I kind of wanted to touch on that and get your perspective.
Great question. Spirit speaks to everybody, and we'll get into this concept in a sec here, of our crap. The more crap we have, the less we can connect to them. Got it? Spirit is there 24/7 for everybody. But if I'm stuck in a story, I can't hear them. Does that make sense? Spirit is there 24/7, but our job is to move our stories out of the way and have the willingness to connect. Does that make sense up here?
Mm-hmm.
And especially if we have many generations of stories, but it might take longer. But I always jokingly say, if I can do it, anyone can do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've got such a strong left brain, a thinking analytical brain, that if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Alma, sorry, my eyes aren't the best. Alma.
Hi. Expanding a little bit more on Karen's question, how about like survivor's guilt? I struggle with that a lot as a cancer survivor, as a refugee from war, like even when you were mentioning Gaza, like why did I survive and why not them?
Great question. Again, we're looking through the lens of the ego, where we see the body, and that spirit is ongoing, right? And if you're still here, hon, it's because you still have work to do. Got it? It's really that simple. And for some people who say are suffering with cancer, death is not necessarily an easier way, but I'm not sure why they want me to say it that way. Your guide, everyone's guides are screaming at me right now. Yours almost specifically. They're showing me in capital letters, death is not wrong. And that's what society has made it wrong. My dad's a refugee, and he really struggles, in his mind. And that's affected his body over the years. And that refugee survival guilt, all of that stuff, it was really prevalent. But when we really start to see through the third eye, the ongoing nature of the soul, then they often talk about this work about seeing it through 5D, where it's like, oh yeah, it keeps going, keeps going, it keeps going. They say, Alma, in the minute you die, if you read any near-death experiences, in the minute you die, like 10 seconds later after you die, they say you have what's called a life review. And that minute you're just like, oh, there's still, you like, there's this like deep relief of all the stories. Does that make any sense? How is that answering your question?
Yeah. The big one for me is like a cancer survivor, someone who passes and they have infants or young children, and like I didn't have, so they have someone depending on them.
Yeah, great question. It's very human. So I always say to people, don't forget I've been doing this work a long time, and I've worked with people like that, say the child of somebody who died, got it, from whatever, cancer, war, whatever. And I'll get into this in a minute here, but we have this, actually I'll just teach it right now. So we have something called a collective, like each human has a shadow and we all have collective shadows, like there's a collective societal shadow. But what a shadow is, if this is the age 0, Alma, and this is the age 15, okay, give or take, life events occurs. And as a result of these life events, they're traumas and how our brain interprets them, then part of us is stuck over here in space. Got it? So we have like an abandonment wound or rejection wound or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Now, here's the deal. And this is really hard for us to understand. Our soul came in and chose these to heal them. And as we get older, we're working through that crap. So let's just say I've got a wound that says I don't matter as a woman. Let's just say I've got that one, which I do. Mm-hmm. Let's say, then the rest of my life is about healing that and not putting a man and his importance over me. Got it? And as I heal that, I'm healing that wound. Now, for that little girl whose mom has died, she has a wound. But here's the deal. Her soul has, that little girl or little boy has chosen that based on her past souls, incarnations, and karmas. She chose that for whatever's coming in her lifetime. Now, most humans, Alma, and this is the pain point that you're saying, most humans just stay in that pain wound. Most humans stay in that my mom died when I was a little girl, abandoned wound. But I've worked with lots of clients who had that wound and then healed it to realize who they're meant to be as an adult. Mm-hmm. Got it? And for a lot of those women, let's just say it's a woman. I'm making this up, a woman who has a mom wound. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to because that's the picture I keep saying. She's here to be a mama for a lot of people, not necessarily her own kids, right? So she is here to help a lot of people who have that mom wound. Right? Mm-hmm. So it's understanding that the soul chooses it. So contrast creates clarity. When we have something we don't want, it creates what we do want. Got it? And so a childhood soul trauma like that is big. Mm-hmm. But if the child chooses to go on and heal it, wow, magic. Does that make sense up here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say it one other way that they're saying it. This is tough for everybody. There's nothing wrong in God's world. Got it? God is not a white guy in the sky. God is the energy of love that goes on and on and on, right? And we have to understand there's a much bigger picture here. How does that feel?
That feels more peace.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, Marnie. It's great to see you. Can't hear you. Try again. Oh, no, I can't hear you. You're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Can anyone else hear? It's just me. Try again, sister.
It shows that you're muted now, Marnie.
She might be typing in. No.
Do you have the ability to unmute her, Divi?
I can, yeah. I think I can. Oh, no, I can only ask to unmute. There you go. Try now. I can hear like little bits, but it's like in and out.
It's in the chat.
Oh, it's in the chat, sister. Okay, question. Is our guilt now from 0 to 15? The question is our guilt now from 0 to 15 years of age? and I'll get to that. I think I understand the question. So is all the guilt as an adult from what we occurred when we were 0 to 15? For some people, yes. For some people, no. Is that the question? Is all our guilt now as an adult from 0 to 15? Yes and no, depending on the person. Does that make sense? Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Ronnie. All right, let's keep going, because I'm going to give you guys some other information, and we'll keep going. So so we did that first part, we did the second part, we did the first part on how much guilt is running, we did the second part on the ego versus spirit. Now let's go into the third part. There's something called the 3 beliefs of ego, and what I'm about to teach you is actually from the book called The Law of One. So just stay with me. 3 beliefs of the ego. Belief 1 is that you're lacking. And as a result of lacking, it creates sadness. Just think about it for a second. You're 16 years old, your boyfriend breaks up with you. What do you feel? Right? So sadness. We can all relate to sadness, right? It's like, I'm lacking, and that creates sadness. That's the first belief of the ego. Then the second belief of the ego, let me just mute whoever that is. The second belief of the ego is that as a result of, who's talking? Sorry, well, somebody's talking. Why can't I? You guys, 1 second. Can somebody just mute whoever that is? Oh, we're good. Okay, I think. Okay, I'll just keep going. First belief of the ego is that because of lack, you have sadness. Now, as a result of that lack, if I'm sad in any way, if I'm lacking something, think of it when you're 20 years old. What do you want? You want money, you want a job, you get very attached to something. So, as a result of that lack, to fill that lack, you go out wanting, I want $1 million, I want a husband, I want a wife, I want kids. And that creates attachment. And as a result of attachment, when you don't get attached, you don't get what you want. Attachment creates frustration and anger and annoyance. You guys are with me? So sadness is from lack. Attachment creates anger, frustration. That's the second belief of the ego. And then because I want that BMW and I'm attached to it, then there comes a third belief of the ego, which is control. I've got to get it, which creates fear. Got it? So there's 3 beliefs of the ego. One is lack, sadness. Second is I need that BMW, so I get anger and I get frustrated. The third is now I got to control it, which creates fear. Now, if you think about it for a second, let's just say you're a control freak. Welcome to a lot of my clients and me, right? Let's say we're a control freak. Okay, so I'm controlling because I want that BMW. Well, the BMW is an attachment. So I got to go back and, okay, attachment, now I'm frustrated, okay? Now I got to go back to the idea that I'm lacking something. If you think about it, all of the beliefs have to go back to the lack. Got it? Because in order to heal the third, you have to go to the second, then you have to go to the first. But they all come from sadness. Now I want you to pause for a second, and I want you to look back at the guilty thoughts you wrote down about 10 minutes ago. And I want you to look at 2 or 3 of them, or 4 of them, 5 of them. And I want you to use the letters SAF, sadness for S, A for anger, F for fear. And I want you to write, and anger could be frustration or annoyance, right? It doesn't have to be anger. But SAF, and I want you to write down which, like if you're looking at the first thought of guilt, I should have picked my kid up. What is it more? Is it more sadness? It's more anger, is it fear? And you can write S or A. And just if there's more than one, write whichever is bigger. Does that make sense? S and then A, or F and then A, or S and then F, right? Just whichever is the biggest. And write it in order. And if you have just one, write just one. Look at 3 or 4. Sadness, anger, fear. What do you got more of? And now put in the chat box what you got more of. S-A, sadness, anger, fear. What do you have more of? More fear, S and then F. And you might notice, some people notice, I know when I did this the first time, I noticed that for me, it was more like, do you notice the theme? Is it more like, do you tend to go to more, like when you look at those guilt thoughts, is it, do you find like fear runs all of them, or sadness runs all of them, or anger runs all of them? Do you guys notice that there's a theme here? Fear, 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 fear. Well, a lot of fear. Sadness and fear. Wow, anger, sadness. Awesome. Awesome. And are you noticing, some people notice when they do this that all of their guilt has the same emotions? Are you guys noticing that a bit? Some of you guys? Is there like a theme for some of you guys? Okay, cool. Fear, sadness. Wow, all fear and a little anger. Amazing. So you're seeing it, Kat, right? It's the same emotion. So much control, LOL. Fear. Good. Okay, good. Lots of fear in the room today. Amazing. Okay, we're gonna get there. Okay, more anger and sadness. Okay, so this is it's illuminating to see it. Yeah, to connection. Now, see, because guilt is really, guilt in itself is, for a lot of people, it's harder to shift. But fear, we can shift that. Anger, we can shift that. Sadness, we can shift that. Now go to page 4. Again, if you don't have it, don't worry about it. I want you to draw a small stick figure where it says small, and then a big stick figure where it says big. So we got a small stick figure, big stick figure. So you can really see it. The small stick figure is the ego. Big stick figure is who you truly are. Okay. I just want to speak to the fear and the control for a quick second that a lot of you guys spoke about. The divine in you knows you're infinitely possible. And I'll use this hand. The divine in you knows that whatever you're fearing or whatever you're controlling is possible like that. You're listening to the little character. So let's jump in a little deeper now. So we've got the big stick figure over here, which is spirit. Then you're listening to a small character that's saying, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do that. This character is not who you truly are. This is who you truly are. The ego, the small version of you, is all you're listening to. But this version of you, your spirit, holds no guilt. But the character is full of distortions from childhood, full of those shadows that I was talking to Karen about. We're full of those. And now here's how life works. 0 to 15. You've got these shadows. And these are what's called your subconscious patterning. Now you're going out in the world. Here you are, the human. You're going out in the world and you're sticking them out in the body. You're out in the universe and you're putting out all your subconscious distortions. And then everything that comes in your presence, everything that comes in, remember, because there's no separation, there's no me, there's no Nick, there's no me, there's no Presley. We're not separate. Everything that comes in is an energy match to what's in you. Most of us have heard that. And the energy matches are from these distortions. So this is going to sound really weird to you guys, but if you know that you are the character, remember how you guys go to Mars and look at yourself? You are just a character in this body. And what you're experiencing is that you're not happy with is a result of one of these distortions. If you can identify that this is the ego doing X, Y, Z and creating the situation, and then you can heal the distortion, then judgment and guilt can shift. So I'm going to give you an example in a second. Let's just give you an example so it's not so esoteric. One of the most common things that people, I'll give you an example, and if somebody wants me to work with their examples, plug it into chat box, but we'll get to coaching in a little while here. Let's give you a common example. Let's just say I go out and have an affair. Let's make this up. I go and have an affair and I'm married and have a husband. Make this up. Okay. Now, and then I'm like, oh, I feel guilty. I'm a bad woman. I had an affair. Now, step number one, I am a character. I have to go out here and look at myself, go, wow, I'm riddled in guilt that I had this affair. But this affair, like if you talk to the person, they'll be like, but I had to. It was like I just felt like I had to. It was like, oh, I had to. That's what everyone else in first says. I go, hey, you had an affair. I had to. And then they give me a reason. I don't have sex with my partner. There's something, and they give a reason. They're like angry. They're like, blah, 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 blah. There's a reason. Forget the reason. There's something in that childhood distortion that caused that affair. Now, the most common childhood distortion that causes a person to have an affair is that I need love. I need approval. I need somebody to take care of me. I'm not loved for my husband because we don't have sex enough. I don't feel included. So it was me lacking that I thought somebody else could fix as to why I went off that affair. Now you're like, but your poor husband, you had an affair on him. My husband has an equal vibrational match. And I need to say that really loudly. My husband has his distortions. You guys are with me here? And this is like textbook. So and I'm not saying everybody who has affairs has this one, but this is kind of classic. Worked with thousands and thousands of people. Textbook is this person who had the affair is like, I need love. I don't get it. The husband or wife of the person who has the affair typically has, I don't matter. I don't count. I'm not as important. So it's a chance for me to heal my distortion. And it's a chance to heal what's called the victim, which is this person. He's not a victim. Trust me. He's got his distortion that he has to heal. Is this making sense to your guys' brain? I want to check in. Is this tracking a bit? Okay. So everything that occurs in your adult life is from some of these distortions. And if it triggers you, it's because it has to be healed. Got it? So that person who spoke up, and I apologize, I don't remember her name, about survivor's guilt, use that as an example. She has a distortion that there's something wrong with the idea that she's alive and somebody else isn't. Got it? There's a lack there. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. In God's world, if you're here, you're meant to be here. Does that make sense to your brain? And what we have to start doing is practicing forgiveness. We'll get into a minute here, but it's your perception that creates things. And you're perceiving from the small character, not the big character. And the whole idea of life is to go, wow, this is the character that is out there creating. This is the character that's out there, and she's living life and then feeling guilty. But let me go over here. Wow, let me figure out why that is. Now, Andrea asked that question. Do I want to be around somebody who doesn't feel guilty? When you're here, when you're in the spirit realm, you're only emitting love and joy and freedom. In this realm, you would never kill. You would never have an affair. You would just go, oh, I'm not feeling loved right now. God, can you love me? Oh yeah, I'm loved. And then you wouldn't go have an affair. So you're not sugarcoating, you're not lying to yourself, you're not BSing. You're in the true essence of spirit where there is nothing lacking. Now I'm going to take you guys into meditation, and then we're going to go a bit deeper. So go and close your eyes. With your eyes closed, just breathe. Take an inhale and an exhale. Belly rises and belly falls. With those eyes closed, take yourself into a beautiful place in nature. This may be a place you visit often, a place from fairy tales, or a place in your own backyard. The most important thing about this place is that you feel safe and comfortable. Comfortable and safe. Just breathe. Look around this place. What do you see? Are there waterfalls, mountains, oceans? What do you see? As you sit in your space, what do you hear? Are there birds? Are there animals? The sound of a river? What do you hear? As you sit in your safe and comfortable place, what do you feel? What is the temperature against your skin like? Just breathe. Now, out of the corner of your eye, you see someone or something approaching you. Your wise guide, your higher self. Allow them in. Just breathe. Feel their presence, feel their love. If you've never done this before, your mind might think you're making it up, but you're not. Welcome your guide in. Just feel their love, feel their presence, feel how they see you. Infinite love, infinite capability, infinite potential. Just breathe into that. On your next breath, you start to see a whole bunch of energies coming towards you. And you know there's nothing fearful. These are all of your guides, all of your angels, all of your ancestors. Even the archangel realm is here. Whoever you believe in, Buddha, Muhammad, welcome them in. Christ consciousness, welcome them in. The Divine Mother, welcome her in. And breathe. Now, one guide specifically steps forward and connects eye to eye. And for each of you, it's going to be a different one. Let them step forward. You don't need to know who they are. And they lock eyes with you. They want you to know your worth, your potential, your infinite beauty. And just breathe into that. This energy sees you in your higher self. They don't see that little stick figure you see. They know that Earth is a training ground, a learning ground. Just breathe. Just breathe. Now, this guide who has stepped forward has locked eyes with you. They're sending you a transmission of unconditional love. Just allow that transmission to enter your body and your mind as you breathe. There's a few lines from A Course in Miracles. As you keep your eyes closed, I'm going to say them. And I want you to repeat them in your head, and whichever ones work best. I am as God created me. I am as love created me. I am as Spirit created me. Just breathe into one of those. I am a child of God. Infinite innocence, infinite presence. Let that in. Now, please stay here for 5 or 10 more breaths. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. Coming back. The only reason we feel guilty is we see ourselves as a character and not as the big I am. Now, life is a learning ground for all the lessons, and that's why you see yourself this way. But the more we practice forgiveness, which we'll get into in a minute, the more we go, oh, wow, let me give that up. So before I keep going, type into the chat box how that meditation was. How are you feeling? What's coming up for you? And then I'll keep going. Because then I've got one more topic, one more topic, then Q&A, then another topic, Q&A. And then if I have time, I'm going to allow one more topic. So check in. How was that meditation for you guys? Good, not good, meh, I felt really good, lots of love, great, amazing. When my whole body is vibrating, love that, Karen. You're letting that divine I am speak to your truth. And when you're there, you're in the God self, not in the little self going, okay. I felt the company of a guide. Love that, PJ. Vagus nerve activated. Love it, Karina. I wasn't expecting it to bring me to tears. Yeah, Nick, I know it's very powerful when we let that in of the truth of who we are because we've told another story. But this is who you are. Okay, I'm gonna sidestep for a sec and teach one or two more things, and we'll keep coming back here. Okay. Okay, nice. Pictures, images keep changing. Okay. So now we're going to talk about judgment. I know somebody asked about shame earlier, which is guilt, that I'm wrong, but now we're going to talk about judgment. So guilt is judgment turned inwards, and that's all guilt is. So it's like we have the same coin, but they're opposite sides. So some days I guilt myself that, I gained so much weight. And then if I judge, I'm judging other people with the same weight. Now, what we don't realize is the infinity sign. Anything I do to anybody else, I do to me. If I think I'm separate from Alma, that's the biggest bullshit in the world. Alma and I are sisters from different mothers, and that's it. We're the same exact divine presence. Exactly the same. Me and Parveen, we look similar, but God, we are so similar. It's unbelievable. PG and I are identical. When you get that, your life changes. Each person in you is you. And that's the life-changing piece when we release guilt and step into our divine I am. So now I want honesty, because a lot of people who come to my work have been in the self-development work for a long time. I want some honesty, just like we did the guilt earlier. Let's look at our relationship with judgment, because a lot of us go, oh, I'm judging that person. Cancel, clear, delete. Let's not judge. I want honesty. How many of us judge other people? Just ask yourself that question. Do you judge? Yes or no? Now ask yourself, what do you judge about? Like, just think of yourself walking around. Body, I'm giving you examples. Body weights, money, status, marital status, how they raise their kids. What do you judge about? Now, did your parents judge a lot? Did you feel judged by your parents? Do you feel judged by society? So now I want you to just ask yourself, what percent of your day, waking out and around, walking in the mall, going to the beach, living life, what percent of your day do you find you judge others? Type it in the chat box. Not yourself, others. How much do you judge others? Presley, that's beautiful what you wrote. Beautiful. Kat wrote 30-ish. Mostly people I know. Got it. Well, I'm even thinking about it if it happens. Okay, got it. 25%. So it's pretty small. It's lower. Interesting. 25. So you judge yourself the most from the sound of the script. 20, 70. Thank you. Thanks. I'm looking for those numbers. Thanks, Krista. 30. Used to be 50, now 25. Okay. So judgment and guilt are like the same coin, just opposite sides. Sarah wrote all the time. I always judge myself mercilessly. And I didn't realize that if I was doing that, I'm also judging others. Yeah. I judge all the time. Around 50%. Thanks, PJ. I want some honesty. I don't know. Perfect, Andrea. Pay attention. Because as soon as you're judging another person, you're judging yourself. As soon as you're guilting yourself out, you're judging them. It's like that simple. That simple. It's not simple. Jeremy wrote, I'm extremely hard on myself. Riley wrote 20%. I usually judge self as much as, okay. And we're going to get into, so judgment of ourself, judgments of another is because the ego in you thinks that if I attain X, Y, Z, then I'm better. Got it? I'll give you a funny example. I called my parents are old. They're sick. Whatever. They live at home. They refuse to move. All good. I went and saw them, I know, about 2 weeks ago for the weekend. And then my sister's there this weekend. So we're kind of, I get out there the least because I live the furthest away. And I called my older sister. She was there today. And I said, hey, how's it going? She goes, okay. Just like right before the session. And she said, yeah, we're just talking about the fires we're putting out when we go visit. I said, so what are you putting out this time? She goes, when I was there, I was putting out fires of beds and medications. She said, I'm putting out fires of fruit flies. I'm like, oh, there were fruit flies when I was there too. I just thought it's because mom and dad put their garbage this way. She goes, oh no, there were 1,000 fruit flies. I'm like, oh, there were a lot more than one. Like, but then she went on to say, I found this, it's kind of gross. And there are all these fruit flies. I'm like, oh, they were probably, intuitively, I'm like, oh, that was probably there when I was there. I didn't find it. Didn't let myself feel guilty though, because it wasn't me to find, it was for her. Right. But you see how quickly we can judge ourselves. See how quickly? It's very fast, very fast, very fast. And I saw, and I'm like, no. Give that to God. We're going to get there next. Because if I think, and I hope this helps you, Jeremy, and anyone else, if I think I have to create anything in my life, I have to do this. I have to make sure I get all the fruit flies done. If I do, then I'm good. If I don't, then I'm bad. If I do this, then I'm automatically setting a stage for judgment and guilt. Got it? There is this concept. I didn't think I was going to teach this, but there's a concept. It's a concept that's not in the papers that I'm about to teach. And I might lose some of you, so I apologize if I do, but don't worry. You'll learn this eventually down the road. Don't worry. There's a concept called non-doership, and this is going to help some of you. Here I am, this character Divi. We talked about the little stick figure and the big stick figure. Divi is an automatically functioning thing. Right now you're thinking, okay, she's moving her hand. No. God's moving my right hand. God's moving my left hand. Where's Divi? Divi's out here. We think we are the doers of life, but we're not. And this is more for some of you who are a bit more advanced. There's no advanced beginners or anything, but this concept can lose people. So if I lose you, don't get mad at me, okay? It's just for some people, not for everybody. But if I think I am responsible to do something, then I immediately create a space for guilt. I should do X, Y, Z. If I don't, then guilt. If I didn't clean the fruit flies, then I'm bad. Do you see how quickly that happened? But I'm not the doer. God is the doer. Because where am I? I'm out here observing. And that's my only job. And so because if you actually think about it, we drive on autopilot, like moving my hand, I'm just driving along. Who's driving? It ain't me, it's God. And to really embrace this concept, because it is such a deep concept, it's like, when I walk home after I finish off here, God's walking me home. God's walking this body home. Because when I die, this concept called Divi goes over here. She's not running this body. Remember, we talked about at the beginning, the ego is attached to the body and equal attached to doing. And if the ego's not doing enough, it's the home for guilt. Got it? But the craziest thing is if I let God in, the doing is taken care of instantly for anything Divi wants. And it's not even my job to get out of the way. It's to recognize that there's no doer. It's just the divine. So I hope that helps some of you because they watch me teach it. So we talked about judgment. You guys are good with that? And remember, the ego thinks that by judging, I get rid of something. But in fact, the opposite is true. It actually comes right back to you. And I had this experience the other day. I was watching Trump doing his Republican thing or whatever. And I don't typically watch TV or watch the news, but it happened to be on. I was like, I'm just going to watch this for a second. It's talking about getting shot in the ear and all that kind of stuff. And I don't put out my political opinions, but for the majority of his term, the first time around her term, I was not a huge fan, to say that straight out. And so I had this moment that I'm watching him and I'm like observing my judgment. I went, oh God, he's me and I'm him. And I had this moment of just like, wow, we are the same. And it was instant. And all the judgments vanished. So if anyone's a judger of Trump, try it. It's wild. Because if you're right, because I'll teach you the technique in a second that I did. But if you're willing to give it up, it goes. And then you can see him in the divine presence for what he's here for, whatever it is. I don't care what he's here for. But any judgment goes against God's law. God's law is that which I give away, I get more of. So if I'm giving judgment, I'm getting it. If I'm giving myself guilt, I'm giving you judgment. That's how it works. Got it? There's no other way. So let's go through a step-by-step process on how to shift guilt. They're saying pause for a sec. Questions, comments before I keep going? Any comments, questions? Oh, we got some hands. Okay, cool. And just put up your hand, or if you can't put your hand up, put it in the chat box. Alma.
Okay, so the example you used with Trump were one. What about with like a serial killer or child molester?
Let's go, sister. Let's go there. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. A serial killer tip. I'm doing textbook, just like I did the affair textbook. The serial killer from that shadow from childhood is almost always the same. I'm not loved. I'm not important. I'm ignored. No one sees me. Who doesn't have that? We all do. And if we don't believe in death, right? This is the tough one. Then they go out to act on this. In God's world, nothing is wrong because it's the ongoing. If you look just through the third eye, it's like, oh, that person left that body and went to that body. Nothing wrong happened. Does that make sense up here?
But how do you connect with them?
What do you mean?
Like,
you connect with them by going, wow, that poor soul, they really didn't think they were loved. Let me love them. Let me love them.
Even if someone like committing like major war atrocities.
Yeah, it's a hard one. Alma, you're hitting it right on the head. You're hitting the good stuff. You're hitting the really good stuff. Yeah, the answer is yes. Because in the minute you have your near-death experience, when you die, that minute you have your life review, right now you have a choice, chocolate, vanilla, chocolate, vanilla, chocolate, vanilla, right? This moment, every moment you have a choice, chocolate, vanilla, chocolate, vanilla. Do I feed into spirit? Do I feed into the ego? That's all, those are only two choices I have. Spirit says those children that were killed are living their path. Ego says something's wrong happened. This clenched my body right here. Breathe, sister, breathe. If you don't think I've got something in me that doesn't believe she matters, of course I do. Of course I do. And the way our justice system's set up, and I could go into a whole other topic, but I'm not going to, we don't actually rehabilitate these people, right? So this wound is never healed. But the more of us that do this, the more of us that heal those wounds, that stuff will eventually stop if more of us look within and go, I'm going to have compassion for that person. How is that sitting?
That's advanced.
It is. And on page 6, we're getting there,
you-
sister. We're getting
So
there.
you could have a compassion for like evil.
And again, it's the label of evil. I would really, and again, it depends on how you were raised when you think of God. I was raised as a Hindu, not good or bad, trust me.
Yeah.
Spirit, to use that word, 'cause I think that's a safer word. Say that. The human realm is the only realm that sees a dichotomy. Rich, poor, hot, cold, evil, good. Got it? It's the only realm. Other realms don't have that degree of dichotomy that we have here. Got it? And I'm going to, when I get to page 6 and 7, even like you can see how, and it's okay, there's nothing wrong. You can see how you're attached to this belief, which I respect. I have been you. I totally get it. Got it? What it took me to do was having a willingness to give it up, and we'll get there. I said to God, look, I don't know how to release this, but I'm willing to. I'm willing to give up this pain. And then Spirit took over and helped me get rid of that pain. Because it's not serving my mind to stay here in the story. Does that resonate?
Yeah.
Anything, if I'm sending that out to that person, you're doing that wrong. Who's it actually hurting? It's only hurting me. That person ain't feeling a thing. We think we can affect a person, but it ain't true. The only person you can affect is you. Great questions, Alma. Great questions.
Thank you.
Sit with me till page 6, 7, 8. Then we'll get there. Shaba, did I pronounce that right?
Shab. That's my nickname. But when we judge, like, so for example, I'm judging myself and I'm being more aware of some of my, say, flaws, pitfalls, the challenges that I have within myself. Is that coming from awareness, or is that coming from self-doubt and lack?
100% self-doubt and lack. Close your eyes for a sec. Go back to that meditation we did with our spirit guides. And if you can, drop the idea that something's wrong with you and see through spirit how they see you. Keep breathing. I'm going to do it for you, and then I want to hear how this feels. They do not see you as lacking. They do not see you as less than. They see you as the beautiful incarnation called Shabs. I know that's your nickname. You are, oh, I'm really hot right now, so this is for you, very loud. It's for everybody on the call. The incarnation of God, a portion of God came into Shabs to have this experience. And he is perfect. Breathe into that. Take a few breaths. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. And Shabs do that for everybody. How is that feeling?
It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels warm.
A bit warm. Okay, so what I want you to understand is just the human judging ourselves. Now that might mean, you want to change your hair color, you want to get more fit, go for it. But it's understanding that that's the God self in you that wants to get more fit, not because you're wrong to begin with. Does that make sense?
Got it.
Awesome. Because when I exercise, which I do most days, it's like the God self in me wants to feel this in my body, in this body, so it can have that experience of feeling stronger. Versus when I worked out when I was younger, it was like, I need to look good so a guy likes me. There was very lack. See the difference?
Yeah, totally.
Nice. Does that help?
Thank you.
Great question. I'm going to grab this, Sarah, before I grab you, because there was like a long comment. Just want to make sure that I didn't have to read it. Actually, I'm going to leave it. I said leave it. Go for it, Sarah.
I'm not sure that this actually is a question or not, but just a lot of what you've been talking about, particularly with judgment, I'm an American. And so I
We love you.
Thank you. We live day in, day out with, all the divisiveness,
right?
The political divisiveness
Totally.
and such. you know, I've always just kind of intuitively known that, you know, there is no such thing as black and white, all or nothing, you know, that it's the nuance that really tells the story. And so like with regards to criminals and things like that, I've always had the awareness that, you know, these people are not their actions, that they're, you know, there's a lot more to it, right? And we tend to like to demonize and vilify and, you know, pick the bad guy, you know, the us and them. And I don't know, I experienced a lot of stress in recent years because of the growing kind of attitude of you know, finger pointing and
Right.
such, that
Sure.
you know, and I try to apply that same kind of belief system or attitude towards the judgers, the blamers.
Right.
But I have a really hard time doing that. I mean, I
Right.
have a very difficult time um being able to connect with it. I'm far more able to connect with a criminal who's doing life for murder than I am with some of the people who you know, kind of are holier than thou and hold themselves as better than, um, which probably says a lot about me right there. But
You just spoke it.
yeah,
And a lot of times that's what's called the spiritual ego, because the ego, there's also a spiritual ego. It's like, come on, look at the way. Do you get that?
yeah,
And when I get into my step-by-step process, you can, because I'm going to say it 1,000 times, I've written in capital letters on the form. All it takes is the willingness to give that spiritual ego to God.
hmm,
The fact that you see it as everything, Sarah, and that's amazing. And now it takes the willingness to say, look, this is not working. I'm giving this up.
okay,
Kind of makes sense.
yeah.
Nice.
Because I mean, I know I can get on my soapbox and be as
Sure.
self-righteous as the next person.
Sure.
You know, I know that. I've seen myself do it and I don't like it. You know, but I'm kind of the perpetual fighter for the underdog. Um, you know, and maybe err too much
And
on
so
that
what I would
side of things.
want you to do next, because you're along that path, in the willingness section, can you give up even the because it's just the two eyes that see them as an underdog, right? You're with me still?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then remember, I think I was talking to Karen, I can't remember who it was. This
The
the
hero.
third eye doesn't see them
Yeah,
as an underdog. So let me be willing to give that up. Because again, when I get to page
right.
6 and 7 and 8, you'll see we were just talking about the willingness is all that's necessary to give it up.
Right. Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Nice work, Sarah.
Thanks.
Hey, Karina.
Hi, I just had a little quick comment. I
Sure.
just wanted to, is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, when you got us to close our eyes, when you're giving the reading to Shab,
Yeah.
my guide showed me something beautiful, and I just hope that I want everyone to feel it as well. I can't see my potential and my beauty, like, you know, my divineness sometimes, and my guide showed me it. They were sitting in front of me holding my hands, and they showed me what they see me as, and it's what all of your guides see you as too. Is like they showed me my potential behind me, and it was like this burst of every color in the entire world was in this huge cloud coming out of my head behind me, and it was just nonstop beauty and art and just nothing but gorgeousness, and that was literally my potential, and that's all of your potential as well.
Love that, Karina. Thank you. Love
You're
that.
welcome.
Thank you for the comment. Love that. And okay, I just want to glance at Kat's comment she wrote here. Kat wrote, I've been feeling, and if I didn't read your comment, I'm not going to feel guilty. My guide's just telling me to read certain ones. I've been feeling extra guilty this past week about everything problem in the preparation for this workshop. Probably okay. And also noticed that I felt people around me were extra rude. Interesting. And I even got my bike stolen last night and felt both guilty and was judging the person intensely as a reflection of my internal last case. Perfect. And if we stop judging ourselves, do you think we could then stop each other? Exactly, Marnie, because everything's just energy. If we stop judging ourselves, then we can stop judging others. It's like an infinity sign. Okay, let's go into page 6. I might go over. I am going to go over. Okay, cool. We're going to go over. Imagine right now, if you will, that you're standing in the kitchen and you're boiling spaghetti. And then you get distracted by your kid over there, or you get distracted, by a phone call. Because I don't want you to blame anybody. Forget the kid, forget the phone call. Get distracted cutting something else. And you turn around like, oh. My spaghetti, I boiled it over. Anyone feel guilty? Thank you.
Yes.
Who felt guilty? You boiled water. Who felt guilty?
Mm. Oh, you mean it, not if it overboiled? I would feel guilty if it overboiled.
Okay, cool. If it boiled too much, right? It's like, meh, right? Most of you guys are like, you wouldn't feel too guilty if it boiled over, even if it boiled over.
No, like if I ruin the spaghetti.
Oh, okay. But spaghetti is like 30 cents. I'm teasing you a bit here. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is that there's places in our lives where the guilt is like, so obviously kind of silly. Is that fair? That's the first time I've actually said that story, is that we actually felt guilty. The logic is that, oh, I boiled over the spaghetti, the water went crazy, right? You guys are with me still? I don't feel guilty here. We're good? Okay, cool. What if every reaction of guilt could be that simple? So I'm going to go through a 5-step or 4-step process in how we do it. It's all about how we perceive ourselves. So go to close your eyes and go out to Mars and look at yourself. And I want you to see whatever it is you see the character called Marnie, called Jill, called Andrea, called Joe. See the character. And see whatever they're holding on to. See the thought behind, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done that. Now here's step 3, the most important thing. Why do you have that perception? For example, I feel guilty that I'm not taking care of my kid. What's under that? What's under that is that I'm not a good mother. Whoo, that's a good one. What's under that? I'm not a good person. Look at the underneath the guilt. What do you see there? Now the last step, are you willing in capital letters, to give that to spirit? Take a few breaths. Give that thought that you're a good or bad mother up. Give that thought that you're good or bad up, and just take a few breaths. The willingness to give it up is actually the key. Keep breathing. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. I'm going to take that into a slightly longer process in a second here, but all it takes is the willingness. Now it says in A Course in Miracles that you may have made a mistake in time, but you've never made a mistake in eternity. Think about that for a second. In this second, you could perceive you've made a mistake that I boiled the spaghetti too much, or I slapped my kid. But in eternity, you've never made a mistake. Just be open to that for a sec. The great visual I love is, imagine that life is like this time machine. And it's like a red carpet that when you're walking on, you feel guilty. I should have done that more. I should have done that. Darn, done that more. And then that red carpet stops right here. Here's the red carpet. You stop. And this is called the holy instant. And that's what we're going to spend some time teaching right now. This is the holy instant. And when you actually get into the holy instant and practice forgiveness or atonement, which I'll get into a minute here, and then you turn around, the guilt is gone. Because in the holy instant, it's God's time. You could have made a mistake in time, but in God's world, time does not exist. In this second, right now, when you practice atonement, all of that vanishes. That red carpet disappears. That thought that you've done something wrong completely disappears. So we're going to now spend some time talking about atonement and forgiveness, which is the key to releasing a guilty thought. So I want you to pick one guilty thought when we do this exercise. First, I want you to recognize that forgiveness is not, oh, Dad, what you did to me was so wrong. I'm forgiving you. That's not forgiveness in A Course in Miracles definition. A Course in Miracles definition, forgiveness is a return to who you truly are. So if the classic is, I feel guilty because I'm not home for my kid. Let's just use that one. I'm a guilty mom, guilty mom, guilty mom. God self, guilty mom. Right now, in this second, in a holy instant, I can give that up. And that all it takes is the willingness to give that up, because God, Spirit, the divine, that part of you does not see that, because baby, my kid needs to have this experience over here for whatever he needs to experience. But if I guilt myself out, I'm actually not living in God's world or reality. What guilt does is not only does it hurt our bodies and make us sick, but it actually stops the divine from sending you stuff, because we're creating blockades to the energy coming in. Got it? But guilt is as easy as giving it up. The holy instant is right now. And how long does the holy instant take? It's all up to you. The willingness to give it up is the key. Got it? Holy instant can take 1 second, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, but the key is not in time, but the key is our willingness to say, I am surrendering this thought. That is all it takes. I told you the process is super easy when you get here. And I might have to do it 1,000 times. If I have thought 10,000 thoughts that says I'm a bad mom, I might have to have 1,000 moments of forgiveness. Does that make sense? I might have 1,000 moments. Cool. I'm going to share with you. For those of you guys that were in Big White and even up to a few weeks before, I was dealing with an acne patch up here. It's still there, but it's a lot less because it was anger that I had against myself for some of my own crap. But all I did was I practiced forgiveness and it's come down 80% because remember, the ego is the only thing that can make me sick. Does that make sense to your guys' brain? But it's the willingness to give it up. And if there's a resistance to surrender, it's Kat because part of us wants to hold on to it. So if a Kat just asked, if I have a resistance to surrender, all it is because there's a willingness to say, I need this. Give that up. Give up that part too. So holy instant is right now where God sits. So here you are, here's spirit, and here's you. Got it? And our willingness to give that up is all we have to do as humans. In this holy instant, giving up, there's a word that's called atonement from A Course in Miracles. Atonement means at one with me, not at one with me, at one with God. Got it? At one with spirit in that vertical alignment. PJ wrote, so my guilt is directly connected to my need to control 100%. Because guilt is either control, fear. Yeah, you nailed it. Control and thereby be right. Kat wrote, does it mean we need to do the opposite? No. So I'll teach this. All it takes is the willing. So go back to atonement. Atonement means at one with me. God is here. Holy Spirit is here. The human is here. All it takes for PJ is I'm willing to give up control. I don't know what's on the other side, Kat. I don't need to believe the opposite yet, but just take this from me. Just take this idea that I'm in charge. Just take this idea that I'm in control. Just take it, take it, take it, take it, take it. That's all it takes. 1,000 times a day, 1,000 times a minute, 10 times a day, but there's going to be a point in your life that you don't hold it. And you'll be like, wow, life is so much better. Wow. And all I did was I practiced forgiveness every day for a few minutes. And that thought doesn't drive me crazy anymore because it's just a thought of that separated self. And to go from separated self to the divine self, the key link is forgiveness. Got it? So I want you to choose one thought right now before I'll grab you in a sec, the hand up. I'll grab you in a sec, Praveen. But I want you to take you into meditation. Go and close your eyes. Go back to that place in nature and look at that one thought of guilt that you've got that you're holding on to so hot, strong. And look at the thought underneath it. Well, then I'm important, then I matter, whatever it is. I want you to imagine your spirit guide standing right there. And I want you to ask for forgiveness. And I'm going to use the Ho'oponopono prayer, and it's 4 sentences. I love you, higher self. I'm sorry for ever thinking this thought. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you, higher self. I'm sorry for ever judging myself because I know I am you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you, higher self. I am so sorry for ever thinking I was separate or that I could do something wrong. Please forgive me. Thank you. And just keep repeating it on a cycle. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And just keep doing it for a few more breaths. Now, when you're ready, gently open your eyes. And so it doesn't mean, Kat, that you need to believe the opposite. It's just the willingness to give it up. So I'm going to open up for Q&A. I want to check in before I do Q&As. How was that feeling? And I did it really short, just so you guys know. I did that very short because they told me to. How did it feel to give that up? Anyone want to share what they experienced? How was it to give that up? The judgment, the control. Anyone want to share? Or just type into chat box. I don't experience anything. Light and relieved. Exactly. That's the whole idea. It's the more willing you are to get freeing, right, Krista? Yeah. It's just giving it up. And then like I think it was Kat who said this. There's a party who's not going to want to. Yeah, but keep giving, keep giving, keep giving. And there's sometimes a sadness because what happens is you give it up and it's like, oh, great, gone. But then it's like, but then who am I? Right? Let's up to Q&A coaching, and I may or may not get to special relationships. And I'll see what PJ wrote. When I let go of control, my hand opens and immediately my guide put their hand on mine. Wow. I love that. Because now you're being guided and held, PJ. You're being led. You don't have to be in charge. And if you guys have time, I might do one more process. Riley wrote some layers of lies disappear. Now, they want me to say one thing before Q&A and coaching and stuff. I might do one more process. I'll see time and everything else. Guys, if you're willing to practice this all day, life changes. If you ever study Marianne Williamson, she's a big teacher of A Course in Miracles as well. She talks about if you're actually practicing the course, you're doing forgiveness all day. Okay, that's all you're doing. Oh, let me forgive that thought. Oh, let me forgive that. Let me forgive that. Let me forget that. Let me forget that. Let me forget. Idiot. It's just practice, practice, practice. All right, let's open up to Q&A coaching, and then I might do one more process. Hey, Marnie.
Hi, can you hear me now?
You are good to go, sister.
Yay. I'm sure, as things happen prior to when you sign up, of course, everything bubbles up all the time, right? Before you actually get to the course with you. But this week, I just wanted to share with everybody that, I have a lot of guilt over, my mom's death. And this time, like this week, I was like, okay, let's just sit in forgiveness, right? And I was just sitting with just being willing, right? Without, normally, I would start with forgiveness and then I would go into the story about why I couldn't forgive myself, blah, 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 right? This week, it was like, okay, I'm just willing to forgive myself. And just to sit in the willingness, huge difference. I could feel the weight drop off my body. So it's just, you just did this exercise too, and it just reminds me that we don't need to get into the story of the guilt, because then it's just more guilt layering on more guilt, laying on more guilt, right? So just like being in this image, like me and my mom sitting there and just, I'm willing to forgive myself, just opens up a space between us that this healing can take place. So love you.
Love you too, Martin. Thank you. Thank you so much. And before I grab you, Presley, they want me to say, because there are a lot of people who guys wrote in control, right? A lot of you guys, when I wrote, it said, what's the guilt? Anger, fear, sadness? No, a lot of you guys wrote control. Give that up like PJ did. All it takes is the willingness to think you're in charge. Give up that layer. Give up that layer. Give up that layer. See what happens. Hey, Presley.
Hello.
You.
A thing had happened last night, but it's just been like, I keep getting rattled by it. Obviously I'm not done with it, but my son went to like camp the other day, and then they watched like a movie that scared the shit out of him. He's like 8 or 7, and he went to a camp and they showed like an 18A movie. And then he like slept with like his Nerf guns that night. So he was like scared. And then last night he's like, I want to read the Bible. Can you bring the Bible? And I was like, ooh, I don't really want to read the Bible to you. And he's like, well, I want to read the Bible. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I like believe everything in it. So I'm not sure if I should be reading this to you. Like, and he just kept saying he wanted to read it. And I was talking to Coulter, and he said, just read it to him. Like, he must feel safe, or had felt safe reading it with you before. And it's just a story. Just, he just probably needs it right now because he was scared shitless. Like, so, but in my like chest, I can feel it. Like, it just didn't feel right, or because I was remembering how confused I was,
right?
And how it really took me down into a really dark place that I felt I was doing something wrong. So I read it with him, but the whole time I just felt like I was confusing him, like guilty. Like I brought this Bible into our house thinking that this was God for me. And it didn't turn out to be that. And I don't believe that. Like I don't believe that. So he was fine, and he went to bed, and I prayed with him and explained my belief, and it was fine. Like, but all night and then today I felt like, why am I holding on to that? Or why is it still bothering me?
It's bothering you that about the Bible, that you're reading it to him, that you don't necessarily, it upset you, but that kind of, I just want to make sure, Presley, before I dive in.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Let me say a bunch of stuff. As a mother, which we both are, we can't bubble wrap them. And I know you know this. And so he's watched 7 or 8 years old, watching a show that you might not have put on at home. Okay, fine. He needed that experience, right? So we can't feel guilty that he's at, because, for whatever reason, he chose this thing.
Yeah.
Every soul chose that. So as parents, I hope this is helping you guys get rid of parent guilt. Souls choose these traumas. Okay.
Mhm.
We don't know if your son is going to take the Bible and it's going to be part of his ministerial experience or not. It didn't work for you. It might work for him. Now, one of the things I love about A Course in Miracles, and I haven't read the Bible, I didn't grow up with it, but my understanding of A Course in Miracles is if you read it and study it, it makes the Bible make sense. That's what people who've studied the Bible tell me. Okay. So just so you know. And we never know if he's asking for it at the age of 7 or 8. Maybe that's part of his path. But we have to, as parents, I think this is really the key, Presley, we have to understand that, I had this written down, but I didn't say it earlier. The soul of the child has an intelligence to its own that in our North American culture don't understand. But that soul has its own journey. And we have this much control of what their journey is. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. Our only job, and this is big in Hinduism, how I was raised, our only job is to bring it into the world, keep it alive for a few years. And Buddhism says till 7, and then they're good to go. If you make it to 7, you're good. Got it? And that's our only job. Because their own karmic destiny, again, you don't have to believe this, is going to take over. But the moms who try to control, those are the ones that are hurt. How is this sitting in here?
I hear you. My fear is still there.
Okay, now what I want you to do is just like Marnie, and Marnie, thank you for your share. Go over to the altar, go over to whatever altar you believe in. We didn't do it with an altar, but we might do another meditation in a minute here. Go back to that place in nature, and all it takes, honey, all it takes is the willingness to say, look, please take this thought that I'm doing something wrong. Willingness to say, please forgive me for thinking that I'm doing something wrong to my kid. Please forgive me for thinking that the guilt of the Bible, like the layers, just like you saw with Marnie. Does that make sense, Presley?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And if we have time, no matter, we'll do one more meditation before we wrap. We might do one more thing. Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Praveen.
Hi.
Hey.
Okay, so I've got 2 really quick questions. One being, in this process of relieving ourselves of the guilt and understanding that, it's the power in surrender where we truly find our power. If we're here to heal and to learn as well through feeling what we feel through the experiences that we have, isn't that equally as important rather than just kind of letting it go? Like, how does that? Yeah.
Great question. Fantastic question. It's both ands, both ands. So at a certain point in self-development, we start to realize that, and I didn't talk about this today because it's, again, a bit more advanced concept. At a certain point in self-development, you realize you're just a computer system. Like, at the first step is yes to feel. But you know, like, oh, like my emotional layers, like I can actually predict what I'm going to feel when XYZ happens. Because do you get it? So my
Mhm.
computer system was already laid out by the time I was 15. But then, yeah, for years, you have to figure out what those feelings are 100%. But then after a while, it's like, well, do I always want to feel bad or do I want to shift this? Does that make sense? Because I was
Mhm.
ingrained as a mother to sacrifice and guilt were like those three words, mother, guilt, sacrifice were like best friends. Peanut butter
Mhm.
jelly sandwiches. That ain't working for me. It created a lot of pain for my physical body.
Mhm.
So I can stay in that pain physically, or I can give it up.
Got it.
Does that help a bit?
Mhm. Yeah, that does. The other question I have is, given just kind of the health stuff that I'm going through for me, um, I am living really happily, kind of doing all the things that I want to do, still hitting the gym, you know, still kind of like living, and more so in an aligned way and with an understanding of my path and purpose. But this health issue is still there. And so one of the things that I find that I'm struggling with is guilt around doing some of the normal things and ingesting some of the normal foods, you know, so like where I'm having sugar or chocolate, knowing that it's not something that would be great for that, but I'm like, but I feel great. So I do it with the thought of like, no, my body is great and like, you know, it's going to be okay. And with that conviction of like, I'm good, to then like, oh shit, you
Right.
know, I hate that thing again.
Right.
So if there's anything around
No, it's
that.
a great question. With the illness you've got, it really is making yourself wrong. That's the issue. Can I share what you've got or no?
Yes, sure. Yeah, that's
So
fine.
Parveen has the C thing, cancer thing. Okay. Is that right? Did I get that right? Just to make
Yeah,
sure. Make sure
yeah.
this thing is
Yeah,
working right now. Um,
yeah.
and in my world, cancer is anger turned inwards. Correct? With me?
Mhm. Mhm.
So guilting yourself out actually makes it worse.
Mhm.
Are you with me?
Yep.
So you see how it's like a catch-22, right? So all these
Mm.
studies that show sugar's bad for it. And don't forget, I work in the metaphysical realm. I don't touch that realm,
Yeah.
right? In the metaphysical realm, guilt is more sinister. Like I jokingly always say, go spend $9,000 at Whole Foods and then get mad at your partner. You just undid everything you just did. Spend $9,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it is understanding that the most important thing in my world is emotions,
Yeah.
right? So I'd rather eat this chocolate with delight and ease, but if I can't, then I ain't gonna eat it.
Mhm.
If it's impossible for me to eat chocolate without me getting mad at myself, why am I doing this? So what I need to
Yeah.
do is go to the altar and forgive the thought that I could do something wrong. That is my work. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
How's that feel? Feel good?
Yeah. Thank you.
Andrea? Are you there, Andrea? Just unmute yourself, sister. You there?
Hi, I'm here. Sorry.
Well,
Thank you. Are you talking to me?
yeah, you're good to go.
I just my question's a little bit different, but it's sort of related to anger, but also guilt. But I guess there's people that that I have angry feelings at, but then sometimes I just don't feel any guilt. Like there's one that I know that she like, and I consider myself a very caring and sensitive person. But there's one that really like harassed me and stuff years ago, and then I found out that she's sick, and I just feel like I don't care what happens to her. And then I feel like, oh my God, I should feel guilty, you know, especially with my beliefs and stuff. I feel like forgiveness is the answer, but then I'm like, what's wrong with me that I don't care what happens to her?
So if you're open to not getting mad at yourself, that's the first step. But the part, because all parts of us, right? There's a part of you who can't feel empathy for her because you're still holding on to the pain of what you perceive she did to you.
Right.
Perceive is the key. Perceive.
Well, I know what she did, and I know it's not a person, a special human being in my mind. It's not perceiving. It's some people aren't good people and I don't look at her as like a
I'm gonna
special.
interrupt you. I'm gonna interrupt you.
Yeah.
That goes 100% against everything I taught. Okay?
Right.
In this world, again, I'm giving you a bit of shit right now because you asked for it. Okay. In this world, there is no good or bad. There is just the divine incarnation and lessons. I had to learn a lesson when I was younger, when I got bullied by my siblings. That lesson was, I am important and I matter. And that bullying helped me to learn that. They aren't bad because they bullied me. That was their experience. That's what they needed to do. And I need to experience that. But if I stay in that victim and I was bullied, I wouldn't want a relationship with them. Stay in your body, stay in your body, stay in your body. And I just want you to see, Andrea, that a part of you is attached to that. And all it takes is the willingness to go, this ain't working, I want to give it up. And if you're not willing to give it up, then fine, that's fine. No one's going to tell you not to. But it's the willingness that's needed. That's it. But if you want to stay where you are, perfect. But if you're tired of this emotion, because otherwise you want to put your hand up, it takes, see how my hand is in a claw? You might not be able to see it. It's like the
I see.
Go, okay.
I'm willing to give it up and I thank you. It's just, it's really hard for me to believe that it's really, I mean, I'm open and but it's for me to think that there's no bad.
Sure. That's just the fragment of the ego. That's the ego's favorite thing. Good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. There's nothing anyone can show me that when I look through the third eye is not bad. There's nothing that third eye will see that says that. And it's taken a lot of work for me to get here, hon. A lot of work, a lot of willingness.
So you don't think a serial killer is bad or anything, like somebody that's that malicious?
Because I don't believe in death.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, so just a quick update. I have moved and my son is now living with me. I don't know if you remember, but there's been an extended period of time where we've been apart, and a lot of, conflict and acrimony and that kind of stuff, not between he and I, but anyway, so that's a good thing. But I've spent a great deal of time worrying about him. I've spent a great deal of time feeling guilty for quote unquote abandoning him. And I'm very cognizant, I'm very aware of this tendency to try and quote make it up to him or whatever. Right. So I'm trying to be very aware of that. And the other night he was cooking a frozen pizza and he put it in the oven on top of a plastic cutting board. And of course the plastic melted and it started a fire in the oven and all this kind of stuff. Right. So his reaction was one of being just very upset, hitting himself in the head, calling himself stupid. He has special needs and he was just really beside himself. And a lot of this is related to the kind of criticism and abuse that he suffered. So, I felt like I handled it pretty well. I sat down and talked with him about how, mistakes are just opportunities to learn and told him about, some of my cooking snafus and this and that. And, I felt like it was handled okay. And then I suggested to him that he could use his new credit card to buy a pizza if he wanted to, which he did. And I think that helped him feel a little better about it. So I was like, good job, Mom. Okay. But there's just this constant thing in me that just feels like I have to deal with him like he's this fragile, piece of glass that I have to protect.
Right.
And I know that is not helpful to him.
Right.
But I can't seem to totally let that go.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
And so there's two things that I want to pull from here. I love the good mom. And this is just a little, I'm fine tuning you, sister.
Yeah.
As soon as I label myself as good, then I can also label myself as bad. I do it too. I do it too, Sarah, just so you know, right?
Yeah.
But it's just that awareness. Oh, look, I'm setting myself for guilt or failure here.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. And that's for somebody else on the call, not just you.
Yeah.
And what I want you to give up, because I know you know this work quite well, I want the willingness to give up that there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
because everybody has divine potential. Karina, Karen,
Yeah.
everybody. And if you can practice this, guys, it makes a night and day difference. If I can walk around all day and go, that person has infinite potential. A person is asking for $5 and that person has $3 million has infinite potential. What our human society does is that person's better and this person's bad.
Right, right, right.
And then we can't see everybody in infinite potential. And we presume infinite potential is money. Infinite potential is love and the divine.
Mm-hmm.
And your son's got that and spades.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He does.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Willingness to give that up, sister. That's all it is. Got it.
Right.
Thin little layer. Okay. Nice work. Hey, Louise.
Hi, very nice to meet you. This is my first time on one of these calls, so thank you. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much. Oh God, it's not a question. It's a rant, but not a rant. You touched on it and you said, who am I? You know, without all of this, you know, and there's so much guilt about so many things going back so many years, and it almost feels like an identity. If that makes sense.
100%.
So I feel like I've fallen into this trap for a long time. I'm really sorry. I'm not really emotional, and this is just and the last couple of hours has sent everything awry. So I'm very sorry. I've become very good at playing over things that have happened and that, you know, that have been my fault and that I've done over a lot of years, and it, you know, replays on a loop. And it's almost like I find comfort in it, and I hate it. I hate those things, but it's a comfortable place to go back to, and I don't know why that is. So doing, you know, the process that you've explained, which seems so simple, and oh God, I hope it is. Does that apply to that as well? You know, something
Yes.
that's so sorry.
No,
It's
don't
not
apologize.
coherent at all.
You have nothing to apologize, and welcome, by the way.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Take a few breaths. I'm going to say a bunch of stuff.
I know. Sorry, it's an awful
No,
first impression. I'm really
I love you.
sorry.
Thank
I'm
you.
not sorry, but you know.
You're so cute. Oh my God. You see how, and you're not Canadian, right? From your accent.
No, I'm English.
Okay.
I'm English.
And Canadians are very well known for sorries all the time. So you're making me laugh. A lot.
Yeah.
That's a guilt thing that we do, right?
Yeah.
Keep that up. And a big part of the emotions and part of the English thing is that we cover up the emotions. But to your
very
core, and they're coming through my throat. To your core, you're an emotional person, and the sadness and the tears and the emotions that are bubbling is that you're like, oh look, my divine self is right there. I can feel her, but I'm so effing stuck in the story. I'm tired of it. And I want to be that. And there's a lot of sadness about that. But we all would know there's no but to it. It's more like, wouldn't you want to know this now when you're alive in this incarnation? It's like, let yourself be sad and go, wow, let me give that up. I'm willing. And it's just that willingness. And the answer is yes. It's no difference to give up that rumination. Just go, because it's like what it is that they're telling me for you specifically, but I think it's for a lot of people on the call, is the ego is actually afraid of peace, like PEACE. And so it's addicted to this cortisol that's going on in your body.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like an addiction that I can't separate from, even though I desperately want to. And it's making me poorly, and I know I'm poorly, and everything that you said earlier resonates so much of you know, the anger and, you know, cancer and anger and all of that stuff, and it's this desperate need to get rid of it, and I can't get it. It's like it's stuck to me.
Here's the deal though. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can just be transmuted, but it cannot be transmuted if we're trying to get rid of it. Got it?
Yeah.
You just have to go,
Yeah.
oh, look, I can see this. Oh, look. Wow. I'm really addicted to this. If you don't think I've got control issues, talk to my husband. But I'm willing to go, oh, look, I'm addicted to control. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Give that up. But see, when we want to get rid of it, that's why addiction, like, that's why traditional, like getting alcoholic and all that stuff, it's really hard because we're like making it wrong. It's like this
Yeah.
was survive. They're saying this is a survival, and I don't know your mom, but they're showing me your mom. This is a survival mechanism from her childhood that she learned from her
Yeah.
mom and her dad, but especially her mom. And this is just what's happened to her.
Yes. Yeah.
How was that sitting?
It's the most honest thing I think I've heard for a long time. Yeah.
And that's all it is. All I want to say to you, Louise, not all, but we all have it. Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
But most folks don't think about it or talk about it. Yeah, we just like let it ruminate. And then we get sick one day and we're like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Whether that sickness be health, relationships, money, whatever.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. Thank you.
And one of your
Thank you.
guides is not yelling at me, but yelling at me right here. And he's saying to me, tell her there's nothing wrong with her. Please tell her that.
Thank you. Thank you very
Alma.
Okay, I don't know if it's a question or a share or
Anything.
regarding, like, I am very aware, my logical mind is very aware that I have a hard time letting things go, and yet I can't let go. Like even the little things, like I see my husband, he may screw up in something. Oh, okay, well, I'll do better next time. Just rolls off his shoulder. And for me, it's like I see it, but it's like right there, you know. It's like right there.
You said that you can't let it go. Yes, you can, because remember, you're on Mars, sister. You're not here. Go to Mars, look at that part of you, and it's just a part of you, sister. It's a part of you. You're with me still?
Mm-hmm.
And that part of you is from fight, flight, freeze, from traumas that happened in your childhood. That's it. It's not the God stuff. Oh, I can feel this in your chest right now. And all it's like, I am willing to see that that is what I'm so used to doing, but it ain't serving me anymore. And what's happening is it's hard for you to see this because you're so attached to it. That's why I said go to Mars, go even further out, go to Uranus, go to Pluto, go to wherever. Ah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
How's that feeling?
Disattached.
Sorry, say that. A what?
Disattached.
Disattached. That disattachment is necessary to go. And if it's a part you don't like about yourself and kind of like, ugh, then give that up.
But it feels like it's sticking in there.
Then you have to go to what, you know, like, because there's threads, like, you know, something sticks. It's like gooey. Go, okay, I want to give that up. Do you see how it works? I don't know what that is, but I'm so used to it. And it's not going to happen overnight, but it's like, okay, I'm willing. Because I can see that in this holy instant, this is a fear-based thought that says, I'm in charge. That ain't working. It's not working anymore. I'm tired of it. So I said at the beginning, it's like climbing Mount Everest. You have to be so willing to say, I'm willing to look at what this is. And I don't know who I am without it. And I'm willing to say I'm done.
Okay.
How is that sitting? Starting to move. I can feel it. It's starting to move.
And what when you say willing, like I want to, my logical mind, but there's something in it that's not.
Got it. Then you go to that layer that's not and go, what is that? And what you'll see is it's all the ego going, well, if I let that go, then who am I? If I let that go, who am I? There's a term called ego death that's used in A Course in Miracles, and it's a great term because it's like, oh, if I let that go, then who am I? If I let that go, who am I? If I let that go, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's just those layers you're hitting right now because I can feel it in your hips, in your chest. It's like, okay, let me let that go. Let me let that go too. Let me get that go. That's why this work never ends. Does that help a bit?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they want me to say one last thing to you, Alma. Maybe not last. The fact that you can see it is a million miles ahead of most people. And that's what you want to applaud yourself for. Applaud yourself, sister. Please. How was that?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Hey, Karen.
Hey, so I have this thing where I tell myself if I do this, then I can achieve this.
Sure.
Or like, for example, like I don't take action until something like physically shows up.
Right.
And I feel like I was like stagnant for so long and I wasn't doing the things that I wanted. And then like all of a sudden I'm like dealing with like this skin like just like breaking out like so bad out of like nowhere. And it's holding me back because I'm like when I it's like when I fix my skin, then I can do X, Y, and Z. And it's like I'm holding myself. I don't know how to express myself, but
I
it's
get
just
it.
like,
Get it.
I just feel like I don't have like the same worth that I did when my skin was clear, but it's also made like activated something in me to work harder, to actually like move, to like take things a little bit more serious, do the things that like I need, like my inner child. For example, if I didn't have like the skin issues, maybe I would still be in the same position.
Got it. Okay. So you can see how this is all the ego, right? Remember that chart I drew at the beginning, because the ego is the body. You got me still? Okay. So egos make you wrong. So let's go a little bit deeper. Skin, according to Carolyn Myss, who's a medical intuitive, quite famous, she always says skin is about our safety, okay, and our protection. So we have safety issues, right? So go into your body, Karen, go into your body. Do you feel safe in yourself?
I don't.
Good. Stay in your body. Why not?
Because of my like physical appearance.
Why else? Because we think it's the skin that caused it, but the skin is a cause and effect. Cause was the emotion, effect was the skin. So the safety thing preceded the skin. Right there, you just hit it. Why don't you feel safe? I just felt in your left chest. Why don't you feel safe?
I feel like it has a lot to do with like abandonment.
You nailed it. I was just going to say it's relationship related. You nailed it. Did God abandon you, sister?
Pardon?
Has God ever abandoned you?
No.
Do you see your work now? They said you just took 3 years of therapy and did it in a minute. I'm like, no, I didn't. You did it. I'm teasing. My guides are teasing me right now. We're joking right now. Guides are really funny. My guides are really funny. Okay.
Yeah. How can I see it in like I feel in the 5D, like it's my skin's cleared up. Like I feel it. But it's just like it's just taking like in like right now in the 3D, it's just like I just need to let go, and then maybe I can like quantum leap to that. Like
You're
I'm
so cute. You've read too much. It's the emotion. You got to look at the emotion. Okay. The emotion is lack of safety. And if I have this, then if I have this guy, then if then. You're with me?
yeah, and if there's nothing there, I'll create problems.
Okay. Where is safety found, hun? I'm going to give you a hint. With God.
Yeah.
And that's what you're not tapping into. So you have to create a relationship with that higher self and realize, and I'm, like I said, I'm going way over, actually, holy shit. That relationship with God is the most important relationship you'll ever have. And then once you start to develop that, even this much of it, then you forgive yourself for thinking you were abandoned or less than or lacking. And then that forgives the safety piece. Does this make sense to your brain?
It does.
That's how you heal the skin. Is that resonating a bit?
Yeah, I can't wait to heal.
Okay, but see what it is she's jumping to the skin, and it's the emotional work that's more important.
Yeah, because it's like almost like having achieved that proves that I have worth and
exactly. You nailed it. You see how you're doing that?
Yeah.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Awesome. How are you guys feeling? And I apologize for going over. I just looked at the clock. I'm like, whoa, we did go over. Well, do you guys want to do one more process? You're like, yeah, it's on Marty's. Yes. Okay. It's being recorded. So if you're not here, you'll get the recording. I'll be there. All right. Let's do one more process. I got a heart from Kat. Okay. Close your eyes. Take a few breaths. Breathe in and out. Slow breaths in and out. Go back to that place in nature where your divine support team, your guides, your angels, your ancestors were. And breathe. The most important relationship you'll ever have in life is with this energy called God. Just breathe. On page 8 of the handout, we did 2-liners on special relationships. We're not going to go into in terms of teaching today. But what I want you to know is this is the relationship that's the most important relationship. Now that you're in this energy of nature with your guides, your divine support team, I want you to imagine next that there's an altar there. and walk over to that altar and just breathe. And for Karen and for everybody else who has the control issues going on, which is a lot of you in the class today, I want you to put on the altar the idea that you're not safe, that you need control, that you have to figure it out, that you're in charge. And what other layers you've got there, just put it there and breathe. And behind the altar is a very powerful guide that as soon as you put it there, it can be forgiveness. And so all I want you to say in your mind, forgiveness set me and everyone free. Oh, good work. Forgiveness set me and everyone free. And I want you to imagine that this guide is picking up all those thoughts of lack of safety, lack of control, needing this, needing that, and taking them away. And they're done for good. And then the Divine Mother came up behind you and she's put her hand on your back, another hand on your chest. So you can feel, see, sense the connection of love. She has always been here. Nice. You've always been loved. You've always been guided. You've always been supported. You can never, ever do anything wrong. There's nothing to prove because you are born of Source. You are born of love, and you are that. Take a few breaths here. You were born whole. You were born complete. You were born of love. Just breathe into that. And after about 4 or 5 breaths, when you're ready, gently open your eyes, coming back. Oh. You want to comment, share how that was for them before we wrap? How are you guys doing? You can say it out loud or type in the chat box. How was that last meditation? We think we're in charge, but we're not. They are. I want to stay there too. I got it, Chris. I totally get it. Same. Thanks, Karen. Yeah, PJ.
Just wanted to share that the emotion coming through for me, feeling that presence with my guides and giving up control is like a parent just being relieved that this kid finally lets go of trying to control everything and, you know, can relax and enjoy and just be connected.
And have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's where the true essence, goosebumps everywhere, the true essence of your being wants to be and is. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, PJ. Yeah, this is beautiful shares. My mother's hand on my hand and heart. I love that, cat. All right, guys, you kicked it. Thank you so much for being here from the bottom of my heart. And I apologize for going over. But the recording is just anything. And guys, I'm too tired to talk about my other offerings, so I'll send you an email. I have classes online that you can do. I have classes in person you can do, and I'll send them out. I have an in-person workshop coming up in Vancouver, July 27th. I've got a day where with some healers. I've got August 24th in Horseshoe Bay by myself. And then I've got a retreat in Whistler for 4 days from the 19th to the 23rd. And it's going to be, PJ just came back from that retreat. It's going to be kick-ass. Sorry for the expression, but it'll be amazing. Trust me. And so there's that. And then what else do I've got? Online class. I teach an online class called The Healing Lab, which is a weekly class. So I'll send you a link on that one. And so you can do online too. So I'll send you guys that work. People often find the online stuff is just as amazing. It's different because we're not in person, but it's fun. So sending you guys lots of, sorry guys, my brain is fried right now. So I got nothing right now. So I will send that all in the email. Sounds good? Sending you guys lots of love. Have a great day. Love you guys too. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy this feeling. Have a good one, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Vivi.
Bye, guys.